With that being said, I have to swing it back to my main man, David Grossman. Listen, if you're not following David on Twitter, you need to follow him because he is my ace in the hole. He's my go-to guy. He gets so much done on behalf of the Progressive Army. I can't do it without him. David, you really want to talk about this article? Go ahead, talk about this article.
It's crucial in my opinion. I'm going to say, please don't just follow me. You can follow me, DKG3387 on Twitter, but follow the Progressive Army, follow Benjamin Dixon, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're growing, but we need your support. With that being said, the one thing, the piece that I really want to talk about tonight, because it's getting attention, but not in the way that I think it should be, is the Supreme Court situation right now with Scalia. So everybody knows that Scalia passed away recently, and there is now a significant vacancy on the court that may sway its bounds. Everyone in politics understands this. Even more significant is that it's occurred during a presidential election year.
Right.
Because of this, Republicans in the Senate, led by Mitch McConnell, Majority Leader, and Majority Whip John Cornyn, have specifically decided to ignore their constitutional responsibility with regard to considering President Obama's nominee to fill that vacant seat. Why is that? It's probably apparent, but I'm going to spell it out. It seems twofold to me. A, to make it an election year issue and help a Republican become elected, which leads to the second part, directly connected, that president will then be able to be enabled and choose the next justice in hopes that it continues the balance that we've seen, which leans right. So it's really crucial that we pay attention to this. Now, I'm going to take a couple quotes from an article on CNN that I saw earlier just to spell out the, I don't know, the bluntness, the disregard that they have right now. So, taking this direct quote, Majority Whip John Cornyn today said, "I don't see the point in going through the motions if we know what the outcome is going to be. I don't see the point in going through the motions and creating a misleading impression. We believe," he later said, "we believe the American people need to decide who is going to make this appointment rather than a lame duck president."
Right.
Mitch McConnell said, "I don't know how many times we need to keep saying this. The Judiciary Committee has unanimously recommended to me that there be no hearing. I've said repeatedly, and I'm now confident that my conference agrees that this decision ought to be made by the next president, whoever is elected." All right.
I agree.
Here's
with
my 10.
I don't agree. I'm just going to put that out there.
What's that?
Wait.
I agree with them, but I also don't agree with them.
What? Okay, I think that's what David is kind of getting at, right? You have this paradox between the inability to get something done and the need to get something done. Go ahead, David. Unpack that a little more, and then we'll get some commentary on it, and we're getting out of here.
I completely understand where if it's truthfulness, if it's not their narrative, I completely understand them knowing the outcome already. However, that being said, they have a responsibility. They were elected to do a job. They have the majority in the Senate. It's a small majority, but it's a majority.
Right.
If you don't like the nominee, whoever the nominee is,
vote him down.
Vote him down. Now, I'm a progressive. I think that's pretty obvious. But regardless of who the president is, they deserve a vote. They have a responsibility, and Congress has a responsibility,
right.
Senate specifically. Regardless of who the president is, if it was a Republican, regardless of the party, if I disliked the nominee, I'd urge a no vote. If I liked the nominee, I'd urge a yay vote. But I'd urge a vote. So
let me do this, David. So in the article that you're talking about, Joe Biden actually was responsible for saying the exact same language that Republicans are saying now. That what year was it? George H.W., right? Was it 92? It was getting close to the end of George H.W.'s term, and he was saying that he should wait until the next president So are you saying that the problem is actually, I want to put words in your mouth, because the problem is politics in general, right? We're playing with America. We're playing with 1/3 of our of our government, and we're putting it to we're laying it at the feet of political expediency, right? The problem is Barack Obama and Joe Biden are just as guilty historically as Republicans are getting ready to be guilty of trying to block the Supreme Court nomination. So are you saying that the problem is that we're playing games across the board on each side, or are you saying that this is unique to the Republican Party?
Absolutely not. I think it's just playing games in general. However, I think that this takes it to a whole new level of gridlock and politicking, because if they wait till the next election, they're setting a new record. They're literally breaking a record on how long it takes to see a nominee. The record's not even the problem. It's the fact that they're ignoring it because of benefit. Regardless of party, they're just ignoring it because of that party's benefit. If it was a Democrat, you know what, I'd say the same thing. But, and challenge me later on when we have Democrats in office and they're doing similar, you know, we'll see. I'll say the same thing. But that being said, we recently had an issue with the 9/11 bill, and I'm drawing a comparison, so bear with me here. It wasn't going to be given a vote. McConnell looked for every reason not to. He said he was going to, then he played games and went back on his word, I think once, twice, maybe 3 times. There was a huge pushback on it on the web, and it was greatly helped by Jon Stewart, obviously. Celebrity definitely helped that get through. But I think, I've seen a hashtag, it's called hashtag do your job.
Yeah.
I think that there needs to be a massive pushback online, whether it be Twitter, Reddit, any social media platform, emailing, calling. I think just the same thing goes with a lot of other things that are going on. We need to be active in general. But on this right now, we need to make it heard that it's not acceptable to ignore your responsibility.
Does anybody know what actually, I think we do know, what was the outcome of the 92 situation where Joe Biden said that we should wait? Wasn't there a nomination and we went with that nomination?
Yeah, I believe so.
What was wasn't that Clarence Thomas, if I remember 92?
Yeah, that was Clarence Thomas and the Anita Hill thing,
yeah,
right?
I will counter. I'll counter that narrative with Reagan, and I've seen it pointed to a couple times, but not enough. Reagan himself, when he was on his way out, had a chance to nominate, and the I believe it was the Democrats in power, and they didn't want him to nominate. They played a similar game, not as extensive, but they played a similar game. And Reagan said, no, I'm president, I'm going to nominate, and we're going to do what we're supposed to be doing. So I don't want to hear the argument of we need to wait for the next president and let the people be heard. The people were heard in 2012 when they re-elected Obama.
Right.
They made their choice as to who should be doing the nominating for the next 4 years. We're still in that we're still in that 4-year term, and Obama still has that right.
I think the moral of the story tonight is that, well, not just tonight, but just for this particular article, is that everybody plays political games. We don't really have time for political games, but everybody plays them. That's number one. Number two, that, you know what? Let's take a look at what actually happened. And what actually happened was, even though Joe Biden played a political game in 92, we still nominated somebody, and he still got approved, even though he was talking about having hairs on a Coke can. I don't know. That's probably too old for most of you guys. But I remember the Clarence Thomas trials very, very, very clearly. Listen, I want to thank each and every one of you for staying so late and hanging out. Noah, thank you so much. Chad, thank you. It's always a pleasure. David, you know I couldn't do it without you. Solomon, you're more talented than you know. Everybody who's watching and who's listening, I thank you. I appreciate you. Follow us. If you need and find anybody who was on tonight, come see me. Ask me. I will give you their handle. Otherwise, we will be here for another 10 minutes, and I may or may not work from home tomorrow, so that means I need to go to bed. So this has been the Progressive Army, and I think this has been one of my favorite shows out of all my shows over the last year.